Hey there! Welcome back to Zim Car Speakers. Herein lies the truth: most modern cars come with a poor sound system except if the car is an old model. If your audio needs an upgrade and you have taken the step to get one, how to install car speakers is what should bother you next. There are a variety of options to choose from when replacing the car audio. And just as the types of the speakers vary, the way they are installed varies too. What do you need to get the job done? Every car has a peculiar presentation of the audio system. This is dependent on the location of the factory speaker, the height and depth needed to mount the speaker, and the factory wiring of the car. Some speaker manufacturers add some sort of guide that informs you of what you need to get the job done. Below are some of the tools which could need for the installation. Screwdrivers, drills, Allen wrenches, solder, crimping tool, clip remover, panel remover, bits and Torx drivers, hobby knife, electrical tape and file. Now that you have the tools set, you can observe the audio system that you want to install speakers on. Sometimes, the car audio system is simple and can only bear very few wattages and 2 or 4 channels. So, if you are about to install a speaker of 100 watts, which is basically 8 speakers or even more, then you are making a mistake. If you heap on a lot of load on the speaker, it will affect the sound quality that the speakers give off. It could even damage the audio system. Another thing to check is the size of the factory speaker and the size of the new one. We all know that speakers have many types of sizes and shapes. So, before you get one, check the dimension of the old speaker and get something close so it could fit in. Before you purchase the speaker, check the quality of the speaker. Fabric cones and component cones are better off than paper cones. The ceramic magnet will do better and outlast electromagnetic speakers too. It is also vital that you choose the speaker that you love. There are diverse sizes, trim colors, and cover in the same price range. So, pick the one that catches your eyes. You can also check the electric characters of the speaker. Some of the speakers have resistors inline. They are used to prevent crosstalk and static. Some audio systems can let you wire your circuit configuration in series. This means you can add tweeter and woofer whenever you so wish. Some audio systems only allow you to wire terminally. This is to maintain the correct impedance of the system. Also, put into consideration the amount of power that the new speaker would need. This is also another factor that would affect the wiring of the speaker. Remember that you have to do the wiring correctly because rewiring is work. Considering the fact that the wires are in places that are hard to reach. Make sure that the speakers are a fit for your car. The majority of speakers you will find in the market will fit in the vacuum of stock speakers. The remaining few will need to be modified before they are placed in the space. The modification could be the opening of new holes for screws, adding mounting brackets. This should be noted even before you buy the speaker, so you do not waste money. Ask the dealer to give you a speaker that can fit in your car. Tell him the model and the type of car you have. If you buy the speaker that is larger than the space available, you might have just poured water on a duck's back. Disconnect the battery of your car. Disconnect the negative terminal of the battery so that you do not get injured by electric shock and you do not spoil any other electronic in the car via short-circuiting. Manufacturer's information is supreme. When you get the new speakers, some may come with the instructional manual from the manufacturer. That manual is supreme to anything you would find here or online. This is because it is almost impossible to write about every car speaker. Whenever it is important, make sure you defer to instructional manual. This is because that manual is developed specifically for your speaker, unlike this. Take off speaker grills or panels. Almost all the speakers in the car have a protective covering called the grill or panel. Before you can get to the speaker, to replace or modified, you have to remove this barrier. You can make the use of a fitting tool, a screwdriver with a flat head, to pry off the grill. The screwdriver can also be used to unscrew any screw or bolts which are attaching the grills to the car. Removing the grills is also a work which would differ from one car to another. Some, you can easily remove them and get on with the work. In some extreme cases, you will need to pull up the seats or enter the trunk so that you can get to vital wirings and bolts. Some would even need you to remove the door panels before you can get to the speaker. Get the old speaker out. In most cases, the speaker is connected to the wiring harness. Be careful that you do not cut the wiring harness when you are removing the speaker. You can also see that there is a need for you to use the screwdriver in unscrewing some bolts. You can also use it to chip off any glue or adhesive foam that may be holding the speaker. If you are thinking that you would have to put back the old speakers sometime in years to come, maybe you are thinking of selling the car, remember to store the bolts and screws which you remove from old speakers. Connect speaker to electrical system. On a normal circumstance, connecting the speaker is almost an easy thing to do. You just have to connect the wiring harness to the speaker wire. But we find that most times, cars do not have this easy kind connection. You would need that your speaker is connected via a crimpled or soldered connection. Let the polarity of the car match the connections of the speaker. On a normal circumstance, the positive terminal of the speaker is the bigger and is usually marked with a small dot or a plus. It is risky to use electric tapes when you are handling wire connections, particularly on the dashboard. If there is a change in temperature, the tape can weaken and that will lead to problems as time goes on. Test your speaker. As soon as you have connected the speaker, you have to check if the connection is done correctly. This is so that you do not close the grills and all and find out that the speaker was connected wrongly. Put back the connection of the battery and switch on the stereo or car radio. Pay attention to sounds which will come out of the speaker. Check for visible vibrations on high volumes. If the speaker did not give off a sound, then that means the connection was not done properly. Secure your speaker. When you are sure that everything is working fine, you can now place the speaker into a dash or door. If your speaker settles in easy, lucky for you. If it does not, then you have to get a mounting bracket. The bracket is supposed to come with a speaker. Open up new holes, use glues to hold the speaker. Install then test subwoofers. Subwoofers are the stuff that make you hear extremely low bass sound that booms inside cars. If the car has a subwoofer from the factory, you can just place the new one inside the container of the old, then join wire harness. And what if the car does not have the subwoofers? You will have to install both the container and the subwoofer itself. This would of course make the job harder. What you may need to do if you had a subwoofer from the factory is to expand the container by drilling more mounting holes. You can also create space perhaps in the trunk where the subwoofer can fit in. It is important to know that subwoofers demand a lot of power and they may need labyrinth wiring schemes. It is therefore advisable to get and install another wiring kit for the amplifier so the method of wiring the subwoofers can be done with ease. There is also an option of connecting woofer straight to the battery and car stereo, grounding woofer manually. Install, then test tweeters. Tweeters could be installed simply depending on the makeup of your car. It could also be difficult depending on that same factor. If the car had tweeters, you would have to drop the new tweeter in the container and connect harness. But if space is not there to house tweeters, you have to make a container of your own. If the existing content for the tweeter is not sufficient, you can expand by making use of the mounting bracket. It is worthy of note that the woofers are bigger than tweeters. This means that the change you will have to make is minor to the one you will make when installing woofer. Just like the woofer, if the car does not have tweeters already, you would have to connect tweeter to stereo and battery directly. You can ground tweeter to the car body. Replace all speaker grills and panels. Put back the grills and tighten with screw and bolts. The directions above are general for car speakers. Below we would talk about the types of speakers and the peculiar ways of installing them. Installation ways. Like we mentioned earlier, there are two ways to install speakers. Some of the speakers would fit in the opening of factory speakers. This can fit in perfectly or will need slight modification to make it very fit. The modification can be done by either drilling a few more holes or mounting brackets. Another method is to get a container that would house separately the crossover, tweeters and woofers. Component woofers are placed in factory speaker housing, but tweeters are always needing customized installation even when the car already had one before. Where you want to place the tweeter may affect what you may need to do when installing. You could mount on the dashboard or the doors or sail panels. Installing in dashboard. Many dash speakers could be changed by removing grills that are located above. The grills are usually held in place via friction fitting or via screws. A screwdriver can be used to loosen the screws. If the grills are held by friction, it is advisable to make use of the panel tool in prying at the grill. You have to be careful, so you do not damage the grills. If the speaker grill is connected to plastic studs which are breakable, that means the whole dashboard may be removed to get at the speaker. When you have removed old speakers, take note of the polarity of terminals. Use the harness to connect new speakers. You could also solder the connection as the speaker manufacturer requires. We'd draw the curtain close at this point. Check the description for the link to the second part of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also, drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site, www.zimcarspeakers.com, for more awesome car speaker content like this.